Welcome to the Natural Cycle. This is a channel where we attempt to solidify the absolute. We appreciate you tuning us in. On this episode, we explore what's under the wings of the flying monkey. When people hear the term flying monkey, they often imagine a devoted follower carrying out the wishes of a narcissist or manipulative individual. They picture someone who spreads rumors, enforces social exclusion, attacks designated targets, and defends the manipulator at every turn. The explanation appears straightforward. The flying monkey seems loyal. The flying monkey seems committed. The flying monkey appears to have chosen a side, but psychology suggests something far more complicated. What if loyalty is not the real force operating beneath the wings of the flying monkey? What if the behavior we observe is actually being driven by conformity, fear, belonging, self-preservation, moral disengagement, and cognitive dissonance? To answer that question, we must look beneath the surface and examine what psychology has revealed about human behavior over the last century. The term flying monkey is not a clinical diagnosis. It is a popular term used to describe individuals who assist, defend, enable, or carry out the wishes of a manipulative person. While the term itself emerged from popular culture and abuse recovery communities, the underlying psychological mechanisms have been studied extensively by researchers. The deeper we look, the more uncomfortable the picture becomes. The flying monkey is often not a monster. The flying monkey is often an ordinary person, and that may be what makes the phenomenon so dangerous. One of the most important clues comes from psychologist Roy Baumeister and his research on the human need to belong. Baumeister argued that belonging is not simply a preference. It is one of the most powerful motivations in human life. Human beings are deeply wired for acceptance. We seek connection. We seek approval. We seek membership within groups. This makes sense from an evolutionary perspective. For most of human history, exclusion from the tribe was not merely unpleasant. It could be catastrophic. Isolation often meant vulnerability. The need to remain connected became deeply embedded within human psychology. As a result, maintaining membership within a group is often far more important than people realize. Once that need is activated, individuals begin adapting their behavior to preserve their position within the social structure around them. This brings us to one of the most famous experiments in psychology. During the 1950s, Solomon Asch conducted a series of conformity experiments that continue to influence psychology today. Participants were shown a line and asked to identify which of several comparison lines matched it. The answer was obvious. Under normal circumstances, nearly everyone answered correctly. However, several people in the room were secretly working with the researchers. These individuals intentionally gave the wrong answer. What happened next surprised many observers. Despite the correct answer being obvious, a significant number of participants abandoned their own judgment and agreed with the group. Think about what that means. People were willing to deny what they could clearly see with their own eyes in order to maintain harmony with those around them. The implications extend far beyond a laboratory. If people can be pressured into denying reality over the length of a line, what happens when the issue involves friendships, families, workplaces, reputations, or social survival? Suddenly, the flying monkey begins to look less like an independent actor and more like someone responding to powerful social pressures. The desire to belong can become stronger than the desire to be correct. The need for acceptance can become stronger than the need for truth. The individual may not be following the manipulator because they fully agree. They may be following because disagreement feels dangerous, but conformity alone does not explain everything. There is another question that psychology must answer. How can people participate in harmful behavior while still viewing themselves as good people? This is where the work of Albert Bandura becomes important. Bandura developed the concept of moral disengagement. His research explored how individuals disconnect their actions from their moral standards. Rather than seeing themselves as aggressors, they create narratives that justify what they are doing. The flying monkey does not think, "I am helping destroy someone's reputation." Instead, they think, "I am protecting my friend." They do not think, "I am participating in a smear campaign." Instead, they think, "People deserve to know the truth." They do not think, "I am helping isolate someone." Instead, they think, "I am holding someone accountable." The behavior remains the same, but the story changes. This allows harmful actions to occur without damaging the individual's self-image. The conscience remains protected because responsibility becomes blurred. The person is no longer focused on the consequences of their actions. They are focused on the justification they have constructed for those actions. Once moral disengagement begins, participation becomes easier. Actions that once felt uncomfortable start feeling normal. The line between right and wrong becomes increasingly difficult to recognize. Yet an even deeper process begins to emerge when reality starts colliding with the narrative. What happens when the flying monkey notices inconsistencies? What happens when evidence appears that contradicts the story they have been repeating? What happens when the target begins to look less guilty than they originally believed? Psychologist Leon Festinger offered an answer through his theory of cognitive dissonance. Festinger argued that people experience psychological discomfort whenever their beliefs and actions conflict. Human beings naturally seek consistency. When consistency is threatened, the mind attempts to restore it. Imagine spending years defending someone. Imagine helping spread accusations. Imagine participating in exclusion. Now imagine discovering evidence suggesting the target may not have deserved that treatment. The realization creates a painful dilemma. Either the target was treated unfairly, or years of behavior must be reevaluated. For many people, admitting wrongdoing is psychologically difficult. It threatens their identity. It challenges their self-image. It forces them to confront uncomfortable truths about their own behavior. As a result, many choose the easier path. They double down. They become more committed. They defend the narrative more aggressively. They reinterpret evidence to fit existing beliefs. The flying monkey becomes trapped by their own participation. The deeper they go, the harder it becomes to turn around. This helps explain why some individuals appear almost fanatical in their loyalty. They may no longer be protecting the manipulator. They may be protecting themselves from the consequences of self-awareness. The narrative becomes a psychological defense mechanism. As long as the target remains guilty, the flying monkey remains justified. If the narrative collapses, they must confront their own role within the system. Another important piece of the puzzle comes from psychologist Philip Zimbardo. Zimbardo's work challenged the comforting belief that good people always do good things and bad people always do bad things. Instead, he demonstrated that environments exert tremendous influence over human behavior. Situations matter, context matters, social structures matter. Place ordinary people within certain environments and their behavior can change dramatically. The flying monkey often operates within exactly this kind of environment. Loyalty is rewarded, questioning is discouraged, dissent is punished, approval becomes conditional. Over time, the social atmosphere itself begins shaping behavior. What emerges is not simply an individual problem. It becomes a system. A social ecosystem develops in which enabling the manipulator becomes normal and resisting the manipulator becomes risky. The flying monkey is no longer making isolated decisions. They are responding to incentives built into the environment around them. The group itself begins exerting pressure on anyone who considers stepping outside the accepted narrative. At this point, we arrive at the deepest layer beneath the wings. Fear, not loyalty, not devotion, not admiration. Fear of exclusion, fear of losing status, fear of social isolation, fear of becoming the next target. Many flying monkeys have witnessed what happens to previous scapegoats. They have watched reputations destroyed. They have watched friendships disappear. They have watched individuals pushed outside the group. Whether consciously or unconsciously, they absorb an important lesson. Stay aligned. Stay useful, stay loyal, or risk becoming the next person under attack. This is why the flying monkey phenomenon is so psychologically fascinating. Most people assume they would never participate in such behavior. Most people believe they would stand up for what is right. Most people imagine themselves as independent thinkers who would resist manipulation. Yet the combined forces of belonging, conformity, moral disengagement, cognitive dissonance, and situational pressure suggest a far less comforting reality. Under the right circumstances, ordinary people can become participants in extraordinary harm while continuing to view themselves as good people. The uncomfortable truth is that many flying monkeys are not driven by cruelty. They are driven by ordinary human vulnerabilities: the need to belong, the need to feel safe, the need to remain accepted, the need to preserve a positive image of themselves. This does not excuse the damage they cause. It explains how that damage becomes possible. Understanding this distinction is essential because manipulative systems rarely survive on the strength of one person alone. They survive because ordinary people become convinced that participation is safer than resistance. So what lies beneath the wings of the flying monkey? Not simply loyalty, not simply obedience, not simply devotion. Beneath the wings we often find fear. Fear of exclusion, fear of losing status, fear of becoming the next target. Beneath the wings we find the desire to belong, the desire to matter, and the desire to remain safe within the tribe. Beneath the wings, we find ordinary human psychology operating beneath extraordinary social pressure. And that may be the most unsettling discovery of all. The flying monkey is often not driven by evil. The flying monkey is driven by the same vulnerabilities that exist within every human being. The difference is that someone has learned how to exploit them. Thank you for watching The Natural Cycle. Please hit the thumbs up, share, like, and subscribe. Until next time, enjoy.